The show is controversial for those reasons.
Yeah, they're weirding through the weird.
Let's just take a look at, here she is with RuPaul. Yay, it's me, Kamala.
Hi, everyone. It's Kamala Harris. Each day, we are seeing our rights and freedoms under attack, including the right of everyone to be who they are, love who they love, openly and with pride. So as we fight back against these attacks,
You're being so weird right now. This is so innocuous. I like at a certain point, hopefully you're gonna have a come to Jesus moment and recognize what's taking place here. But you're doing the thing right now, Megyn, Ben. You're being weird as. I began this movement almost 6 years ago. All right, if you go to youtube.com/theserfstv, you will see one of the first videos ever posted where I began the series of calling out the right and specifically right-wing Republicans in the United States and their just strange and weird behavior. Super, super strange. It seems like a combination of incredible sexual repression, frustration, and an obsession, a sexual obsession with LGBTQ plus people fused with a whole bunch of like racism, xenophobia, anti-immigrant stuff all wrapped together. But it's just expressing itself in very weird ways, and it's just kind of like, you know, they're boiling over and certain like they can't control themselves kind of shit. It's weird, and it's just profoundly weird. And again, it's one of those things like when you sit down and you talk to someone who's in that kind of bubble, say like a Tim Pool, like you get to realize one-on-one that like they don't realize they're in a bubble. Like they don't know that everyday people don't think or talk this way. Like again, it would be so profoundly strange to sit down just with like, you know, my apolitical family members or maybe not like really leftist family members and then see what they had to say about say LGBTQ plus people. Most likely it's not going to be some really aggressive rant where it's just like, did you know that they're removing the genital stimulation of children? They're actually cutting off their ability to achieve orgasm. Like, what? That is profoundly fucked up and weird to think about and say and fixate on and want to enact legislation to try and control. And like, again, when it comes to strangers and healthcare, that's the extent of it. I hope they have access to healthcare, and I hope they have access to options, and I hope they learn about the pros and cons that come from taking medication, from having a surgery, from a medical procedure. That's as far as I go with this. Like, if you're like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about the fact that someone else you'll never meet or heard of may have lost some sensitivity in their knees as a result of knee surgery? What do you think about that? Nothing. I never think of this. It does not occupy my thoughts or mind, or like it's just genuinely not something I ever think about. That's weird. That's profoundly weird that you're just like, aren't you concerned about them taking away the genital stimulation? Did you know that the clitoris will not? Like, no, I did. But these are strangers getting medical procedure, and you're talking about children. Again, I hope that is a conversation they're having in a loving family environment and a supportive family environment with parents who love and care about them, who can then speak to experts in the field, who can give them access to options and tell them these are the pros and cons that are going to come from any form of either surgery or medication that you may take, that kind of stuff. And hey, is it going to be more of a pro than a con, and then you achieve a better quality of life as a result? Then yes, that's the extent that I think and will advocate for in terms of other people and their healthcare. But in terms of what they do, that's their business, not mine. You know, I don't want fucking Ben Shapiro in the room sitting with me before I had, surgery to get my appendix taken out. I don't want him in there. I don't want Billboard Chris standing outside of the hospital with a sign that talks about how, like, you know, if you get the appendix removed, you're given into Satanism and you'll no longer be able to receive prostate pleasure or something like that. Like, no, and that's the thing. Cis folk, we don't have to deal with this. We don't have that for the majority of cis procedures, even if they're the same ones. Even if it's breast reduction surgery for cis people, you don't get a Billboard Chris standing outside just being like, you're removing the ability for me to fondle your fat ass titties. You don't get that. Again, they kind of just leave teenagers alone in that regard. But when it involves trans people, all of a sudden, oh yeah, no, we have to talk about this. We have to concern ourselves with this. We have to get really fucking weird. Really weird.
Not weird. He's like pretty much as normal as they get, which is why they consider him a threat. That is why they're using a label that doesn't apply to him, and for the reasons you just stated. But it's definitely a coordinated attack now. The second gentleman, Kamala Harris's husband, said it. many, many others on the left keep reviving the weird comment before we went to air moments ago. AOC put out a tweet calling him weird, JD, and here's another sampling.
I don't think Kamala Harris is going to pick anyone as weird and creepy as JD Vance.
It demonstrates and shows us exactly what he believes in by selecting a JD Vance, who is quite, you know, as the campaign said.
It's so funny how upset they're getting over this. Like, again, I wish for the life of me sometimes that people would listen more to the left. You know, like for all the stuff that the left gets tarnished with, there's a lot of times when, like, you know, at its core, if you're advocating for things that are just based on extrapolations of basic human decency, it's not a radical idea. It's not like a far leftist extremist communist thing to be like, yeah, I think everyone should have access to housing. Everyone, we have the money to do it. We have the houses already built, you know, like it's not something that we're incapable of doing. We as a society can have the whole thing run as it is, but also we can house everybody. We can do that, right? Like that $230 million that America y'all wasted on that pier that sunk a couple times and then was used in a war crime and now is decommissioned. That again, if you bought prefab homes, that's thousands of houses. That's thousands of people right there that could have been housed. But instead, you want the sinking pier that did nothing except for the war crime and you know, but basically is decommissioned now. Not radical. Not extremist views, you know, but then in the other end, and this is why I hate centrists to my core. Any fucking centrist who can play fucking, oh, both sides are equal. On the other end, the other direction, it's just like, we must legislate all of your sexual activity. We must control women's wombs. We must track their menstrual cycles. We must make sure that none of you are engaged in sodomy. We must make sure that every single one of you is a cis male or a cis female. Nothing else. This is all that can exist in society. Like, well, yeah, that. Both sides, you know, and again, if you'd listened to the left years ago, because again, I invented their weird movement, me, single-handedly, I invented this entire movement, okay? If you had listened to me, you would have realized that, yes, for a lot of this, there is no marketplace of ideas, high-level ideas, the greatest ideas rise to the top. Sorry, Dave Rubin. But if you're having conversations with dudes who are sitting across from you, trying to tell you with a straight face that there's a difference in brain weight between the races, you know, phrenology, you should probably, like, there is no benefit to this. There is no like, oh, okay, well, maybe, you know, some of the more wild ideas I can call out and they won't rise to the top, but on some level we might be able to find something in which we all have in common. Like, no, like there is absolutely no value to that human. He cannot benefit you or conversation or discourse at all. And the same thing applies to people who are refusing, again, what every major medical association has determined and agreed upon. They're well past this. The doctors, the scientists, there's not like this massive debate. It just keeps being brought up by people who are not in those fields who want to keep having a debate and then being like, oh, but did you hear about the CAS study? And then you're like, yeah, it was an absolute, complete ascientific joke. Oh, it's being used to push policy. What? Weird. Again, I'm sorry. It doesn't matter if it's British, American, or Canadian. That shit, it's just profoundly weird that people are obsessing over this when it's like, this doesn't concern you, though. My word. These are strangers in their healthcare, but yet you are obsessed over it. Same thing with JD Vance's obsession over women and their wombs and their menstrual cycles and all of this kind of like, childless women should not be able to vote and they should be second-class citizens and I will never allow them to travel to be able to get the dreaded abortion. They will give birth. I will force every woman to give birth. It's profoundly weird. You can't sit across from him and think any of this merits debate, right? Like, there's no debate to be had there. Sure, debate them. I mean, this is 100% like, it's America. This is a presidential candidate. Don't run. Like, it's got to be done. But if he's starting to just sweat and drool and start talking about how much he wants to control women and their wombs, well, then, yeah, you point out that the sweaty, weird, drooling man is profoundly weird, right? I mean, I know it's probably because he's staring at a chair in the room or something, but like, he is just a profoundly a weird, strange dude who's into women having sex with dolphins. Or sorry, dolphins having sex with women. Gotta be, don't want to get sued. Gotta be clear on the record.
The agenda, the way they talk to people, the way they address people, it is bizarre. It's weird. It is weird.
These are weird people on the other side.
Donald Trump seems to be drifting away from his own nominee because he's had so many weird views.
Unfortunately, Vance's weird views are not even winning.
If you win this election, America, you're welcome. All right. I will want praise and ideally some monies. I just want monies, okay? Send me all of the monies. You're rich as fuck, America. You can afford it. Send me all the money. But also, I'll accept just a single and solemn thank you.
Praise from within his own party. Donald Trump and his weirdo running mate and the Republican apparatus behind them will regroup.
It's not just that he said a lot of things that are weird. It's not just a weird style that he brings. It's that this leads to weird policies.
I should have copywritten it. It's okay.
Kind of weird how they all have the same messaging, Ben.
So apparently CNN and MSNBC used the word weird to describe J.D. Vance in the last 2 days over 150 times. So if you don't believe that they're all marching in lockstep and they don't get their talking points.
I don't know, my dude. Like, I think the headlines speak for themselves. Like, honestly, the best thing J.D. Vance has going for him is that the couch thing is made up, but that one is better than the real ones. Like, he should lean into the couch shit because that one is way more wholesome than his actual fucking personality, beliefs, opinions, the things he wants to impose upon women in America. That shit's way scarier. I would be happier if he was just like a sick old like fucking couch fucker and that was it. It's just like, oh yeah, put that man in front of a fucking sofa, he'll go to town, give him a couple hours, then he'll tire himself out eventually, and then he'll be an effective administrator. So that's the kind of president you're getting. That is more wholesome than the reality, you know, the reality of the dude who's literally like, I want to track women's menstrual cycles through an app. I want to use technology. I want every single woman to have to submit to us the right and let us know when they are fertile so we may impregnate them. Like, what the fuck? That is so profoundly fucked up, sick. And like, who are you? What is wrong with all of you?
It's from the DNC. They 100% do. So on my show today, I talked a little bit about the sort of weird slur and the fact that they're using this. Again, to me, this is all projection because there are only two ways in which a candidate is weird. One is sort of interpersonally weird, right? So you might say,
oh my God, we got a full on facts don't care about your feelings breakdown of the weird slur. The weird slur. They're calling it a fucking slur. Well, this is basically the N-word for Republicans, I gotta tell you.
Somebody who laughs strangely and who starts jabbering about coconut trees. That might be a little weird. JD is not that, right? When JD talks.
Okay, so I can't believe I have to explain this, but yes, there are different kinds of weird. Absolutely there are, all right? I'm weird as fuck. I'm proudly weird. Yeah, but there's good weird, and there's bad weird, and there's evil weird, and there's creepy weird, right? There's different kinds of weird. I mean, like, ask any woman, they'll tell you that, like, hey, you're kind of being, like, the weird right now, like, the bad weird, like, the creepy weird, you know, that kind where it's like, oh, so this isn't funny anymore. This is actually bad. Oh, so there's different kinds. Yes, and J.D. Vance is creepy weird. He's fucked up weird. I want to control your fucking womb. I want to control your menstrual cycles weird. I want to track that shit on a fucking app. That's weird, profoundly weird and fucked up. Gross. Ew.
JD is actually perfectly normal. You watch him on TV, you watch him give a speech.
Yeah, and to say, that's weird. That's weird that you think he's perfectly normal. The things that are coming out of his mouth, they should have just a natural reaction of ew. Oh, you know, like that's the only thing that you should think.
And personally, I think that's a belief for wankers.
Normal person who is talking, if anything, he lies on the sort of dull side in terms of his sort of affect, right? He's not somebody who's electric on TV. He's not like Vivek, very live, right? He is exactly kind of normal.
That is not how I would describe Vivek, as electric. electric.
When he's on TV. And then there's weird positionally. And here's where you get something sort of fascinating. According to the left, what makes you weird is believing that it is actually of moral benefit to the United States for people to have children. That's JD's.
Oh, you wish. I'm sorry, but no, it's that he wants to control everyone's wombs, you know? It's that he looks up dolphin having sex with woman porn and then posts it on his social media. You know, that's profoundly weird. There's a new one that just came out today, and there will be one every day because he's done so many fucking podcasts, right? So every single time you hear about, you know, J.D. Vance, he just hates people who don't have children. That's very strange. And there are people who can't have kids for a variety of reasons, including men. My dudes, to my fellow men, to my fellow cis men, I gotta say that this is an attack, all right? This is an attack on men. There's a lot of us who don't have semen that is capable of infertilizing, that is capable of impregnating. There's people who just don't have that. There's infertile men. And what? They should be second-class citizens? They shouldn't be allowed to vote? That's fucking disgusting. How dare he? I didn't know he was a man-hater, but he's a fucking man-hater, okay? I am disgusted, reviled, and that is weird.
Modern Democrat Party. Not the older guys, the Clintons, the Bernie Sanders, the Joe Bidens, but think about Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, AOC, all of these people. It's like a party where the next generation of leaders, none of them have kids, right? And look, like I understand some people don't have kids. There are health reasons. There are other reasons people don't have kids.
Like you can actually hear him sweating. It's the first time I've ever been able to do that, but you can actually hear it. You can hear him sweating inside this clip. And again, what are you talking about? Why are you like, so, you know, the AOCs, you know, the Kamala Harris's, they don't have children of their own. Their wombs haven't been impregnated. That's weird, you know, strange. Why do we have a country run by them? Regular people don't think this way, you know. That's why this is bad weird. This is evil weird. It's creepy weird to think this way. Just to have it in your head where, again, women's only value to you. Like, this is giving him a lot of credit, by the way. He could actually just have some really fucked up perversions where he wants to impregnate all of them himself, and he hates every woman he hasn't personally impregnated. That could be the case. I don't know. You learn more fucked up shit about this guy every single day. Like, it was only the other day that I was covering the whole, he invested in this company that was mass burning the testicles and genitals of monkeys. Like, that's a real story. This is a real story that actually happened, that his venture capital was really invested in the genital fucking, hey Tim, this should concern you. Aren't you concerned about strangers' genitals and their genital pleasure and shit? Do you care about the genital pleasure of monkeys? Well, JD Vance is investing in a company that apparently is burning off monkey testicles and their dicks and shit like that. But again, this is real. These are real stories. You had better hope he's a couch fucker. You had better pray that he fucks couches, because that one is better than the truth. The truth is so much worse. Aw. Well, while we're waiting for Elon Musk to figure this out, Philip Schwartz, thank you for the $2. It's not normal to rant about how normal you are. Also true. Meow Nian, thank you so much for the $6.99. JD Vance will perhaps be the first American politician to be banned from Sweden over a rumor involving furniture. That's true. I never thought about it.
The entire Democrat Party is like this childless cabal of people who don't really care about.
Great free speech. Oh man, Elon, you're doing God's work here. Just the fact that you have such a shitty ass video player,
but the future. And when you call that out, they get so alienated and they get so angry.
My audio is clipping. Is my audio clipping for my voice, or is this clipping? Because this is clipping. Like I hear it.
But they just start throwing words like racist around. And I think that's what's really going on. But you know what?
Jesus, that was horrifying. Sebastian, what's with the audio levels going on here? You know, your audio is fine on my side. Oh, okay. Is anyone else getting voice clipping? Let me know. I'll try switching ports and deporting.
Actual position. It also happens to be the biologically correct position, which is that if you wish society to
fine. Port sides. It's on your side. You got to figure it out and let the rest of the people enjoy the show.
Propagate itself. It's very important that on a moral level, people have kids. Now, when JD was on Tucker's show, he phrased this in the negative. When he was on your show, he phrased it in the positive. The positive is, if you have kids, you should get tax benefits because it's good for society for people to have kids. That's totally inarguable. That I think is perfectly obvious.
Weird, but like all of your politicians vote against that shit all the time. What? You can't say you're for that. What are you talking about? That makes welfare queens. That's where the welfare queens come from, right? With all the welfare that turns them into queens. The welfare queens. You just run the world, apparently. Yeah. Okay. But then that's not what he said. That, amongst other things, he also said that they shouldn't have the ability to vote. That's really fucked up. You got to agree, right? That's profoundly fucked up to imply that people who don't have children shouldn't be allowed, like they should be second-class citizens. Their voting rights should be stripped away from them. That's weird. Forcing people who try to leave the state to get an abortion, to criminalize that? That's profoundly weird and fucked up, right? Constantly attacking women who don't have children as if they've somehow failed at their one use in society. Very dehumanizing, very gross, fucked up stuff. But like, yeah, keep trying to pivot to like, all he's saying is that child tax benefits are good, and that's why he voted against them in his history as a senator. That's all.
because he phrased it in the negative on Tucker and then used some sort of cable news language about cat ladies. That's what they're glomming onto. They're saying he's positionally weird. What is more positionally weird? That people ought to have kids and that society ought to incentivize its citizens to have children? Or is it weirder to suggest that society ought to be completely apathetic about whether people have kids at all and ought to treat your personal decision-making as to whether you gallivant around on RuPaul's Drag Race or become the head of a traditional family and go to church regularly as a matter of moral apathy? Like, Kamala Harris is very weird positionally. The Democratic Party is very weird positionally. This is a party that has made Sam Brinton a member of the administration before he started stealing ladies' luggage.
I love how mad they are about this. And it doesn't work, by the way. Like, again, you can't just do the childish thing where, like, I'm not weird, you're weird. You don't realize that this is not a slur. It's so weird you think it is. No, it's also not an argument. It's an observation. It's just like, yeah, like reflexively listening to you obsess over strangers' genitals or controlling their wombs or their sexual pleasure. All of that stuff, profoundly strange and weird. And you just, again, yeah, evil weird.
There's a party that has suggested that Admiral Rachel Levine, who is a dude, is somehow a stand-in.
See, right now, weird. You couldn't go like 5 minutes without talking about trans people. Like, again, it's just one of those things where it's just like, you're being weird. Right now, you can't be like, we're not the weird ones, proceeds to be as weird as fuck.
Women everywhere. It's a weird party filled with, I mean, they have trans influencers jiggling their fake breasts on the lawn of the White House.
See, this is weird. This is really weird. You sound horny and obsessed. You know, like right now, it's just like, yeah, I'm starting to think about the dap. Oh, the sweet, sweet dap. Like, what? You're in a conversation. You're trying to back up your political candidate who has said some really fucked up and profoundly medieval things about women. And so in your servitude of that, it's like, and that's why that party, they have women juggling tits, bouncing titties. Like, okay, Grums, calm the fuck down. Yeah, if we're turning Grums into a verb, he's Grumsing right now. You know, like, this is straight up Grums shit.
If you're just talking weird, the Democrats have nothing on weird when it comes to JD Vance. And so they've been trying to manufacture this narrative. This is where I get to the question of stickiness. Again, I doubt this is really going to stick to JD because I just don't think that he's weird enough for it to actually work. But this is certainly what they're trying.
Here is Kamala Harris.
Oh, Megyn, you seem sad. What's going on? It's just so unfair. You're such a noble man. Why? I read all of Hillbilly Elegy. There was nothing about a couch, a silicone fucking plastic glove, and him lubing it up and shoving his little button in there. There was nothing. It was just a wonderful story, a coming of age story about maybe secretly being gay. That's it.
Just this week, going on the RuPaul Drag Race show to seek support in this election. All right, now everybody knows RuPaul is a drag queen, and drag queens doing drag queen things behind closed doors or in bars or what have you.
This is wild. And you're like, hey, by the way, we're not weird. You're weird. You just fucking blah. You're both being as weird as you can. Drag queens, giant trans titties, jiggling on the White House.
I don't really care, but
you're
shoving
beating
in
the
front
weed
of my
charges.
kids and other people's kids, I care. But the show is controversial for those reasons.
Yeah, they're
So she
weirding
goes on
through
there.
the
Let's
weird.
just take a look at, here she is with RuPaul. Yay, it's me, Kamala.
Hi, everyone. It's Kamala Harris. Each day, we are seeing our rights and freedoms under attack, including the right of everyone to be who they are, love who they love, openly and with pride. So as we fight back against these attacks,
You're being so weird right now. This is so innocuous. I like at a certain point, hopefully you're gonna have a come to Jesus moment and recognize what's taking place here. But you're doing the thing right now, Megyn, Ben. You're being weird as fuck. This is really weird. This is not a bad clip. There are things you can criticize her for, and certainly things you can attack her for. If she's just sitting there and being like, everyone should have a right to be who they are, and you should go vote. And then you're like, they call us weird. Look at this. Everyone should have a right to be who they are, and please go vote. Not even go vote for me. Not even like you have to be gay. Not even like being gay is better than being straight. Yeah, you wish you were gay. No, you should be allowed to be who you are, and you should go vote. And then you're like, you want to see some weird shit? Look at this weird shit. This is so benign. What are you doing? What are you doing? You're being weird right now.
Let's all remember, no one is alone. We are all in this together, and your vote is your power. So please make sure your voice is heard this November and register to vote at vote.
She's perfectly fine.
I don't actually. I don't. This is like every time I see libs of TikTok or Tucker Carlson, when they tell you, they're like, you will never believe how far the trans agenda has gone until you see this clip. And then they show the clip and some teacher's like, hey, you know, I love myself. I love my students. I go by they, them pronouns. I hope you have a lovely day filled with hope, love, and sunshine and happiness. Can you believe that? Can you believe the fact that this is just out there for anyone to see at any given time? Yeah. And you're like, wait, what? This is weird. What? Y'all are afraid of rainbows? Sunshine? Happiness? Love? Love is bad? What? That's weird. It's really weird.
Going on that show, notwithstanding the fact that 6 weeks ago, that show featured a trans person.
Oh my God.
It's a woman.
What? Who
had her breast chopped off.
What?
And decided to walk down the runway.
Oh my God.
With a discarded pair of fake breasts.
You're so weird. This is so profoundly weird. In the segment about how we're not weird, please don't put in the newspaper that I was weird. Please. And we need to tell you about how there was a woman who chopped off her breasts and then walked around. What are you doing? You're so weird, my dudes. Oh my God. What's the woman equivalent of bra? Is it bra? Because if it is bra, like, what are you doing? What are you saying right now?
Clear bag, bloodied flesh,
so
with
weird.
A depiction of scars across her nipples and scalpels on fake arms shaving.
Yes, do not worry. As soon as I finish streaming, I will be editing this immediately and giving it to the internet. And yes, you will be seeing it shared around very, very. I'm sure a lot of the other streamers whom you know and love, you know, the Hasanabis, the bigger fish than me will get it. All right, we're gonna put this together. We're gonna get it out there for the masses. We're gonna get it to the majority report. We're gonna get it everywhere because yes, it is so profoundly funny to do a segment in which you are starting to complain and be like, JD Vance isn't weird. No, it's them who are weird. They are the weird ones. They're acting very, very weird. Okay, I just gotta say that. Okay, JD Vance is basically just saying that like it's good to have kids. Is that really that strange? Yeah. But then the other side are basically like, you should chop off your tits as they jiggle the giant trans titties in front of me, and then they're jiggling them on the White House, and then there was a runway where there was actually someone without titties at all. They had taken the titties away, and why would they do blood everywhere? It was just spewed on the walls and could you not just turn it down for one segment? This was the, don't worry, we'll get ahead of this, all right? I know a lot of people are freaking out because it's like a lot of people are realizing that we're profoundly sick. But hey, why don't we do a segment where we just tell them and show them that it's actually the other side that's profoundly strange and weird? Okay, we'll do that. You couldn't hold it in for fucking, we're only 5 minutes into this.
On the show, that was one of the most disgusting, blatantly misogynistic things I've ever seen on television, Ben. Ever.
Explain. I would love to hear. I want to know. I want to know the science of it. You know, the Charlie Kelly drawing the things on the wall. Explain to me, please.
And the fact that our sitting vice president, never mind a candidate for president.
To be clear, by the way, this could be someone who's non-binary, and this could be someone who is a trans man, but either way, someone who either goes by they, them pronouns, he, him pronouns, who's making a statement based on the fact that he or they had top surgery, or it could be any all as well. Yeah, the pronouns are theirs to let us know. But it's one of those situations where immediately you see Megyn Kelly being like, and it's the most misogynistic thing I've ever seen. And then I was like, how was that sexually discriminating towards women to witness? What part of it? Like, I understand from the strange, like, there's no such thing as trans people perspective, but for the rest of the world, it's kind of like, what are you doing here? Are people not allowed to be happy? Are people not allowed to celebrate feeling better about themselves?
Would go on that show and celebrate it and lend her credibility to it. is an outrage in and of itself. She can spare me the discussions on weird.
This is exactly right. And I think that she's running directly into the teeth of something here that I think that, again, it was a misdirect because everybody thinks of her as strange. But I think that this is going to backlash on her. This, I think, is her first mistake of the campaign. Trying to label your political opponent weird while doing a bunch of things.
I'm going to be honest with you, maybe for a different group of people, but for y'all, clearly there is no such thing as turning the temperature down, reading the room, trying to have more political efficacy by hiding your power levels. You just, like, all of you have just gone way too gross. You're all just, you've evolved from weird to sick to disgusting. And like at this point now, there's no putting it back in the bottle. And then none of you are going to be able to just suddenly temper this as time goes on. You're just going to get weirder. As demonstrated in these clips. You're just getting weirder as time goes on. So no, I do not agree. I do not think it's going to backfire. If anything, I think he will be helping her along the way.
Is that sort of normie Americans think are weird? It's not a good look. It really is not. And this is, again, not the first time that Democrats have tried to jujitsu a sort of Republican attack line onto their opponents. So you remember back when there was a crowded NASCAR race that started chanting F Joe Biden. And one of the commentators suggested that they were chanting "Let's go Brandon," and that became sort of a rallying cry for people on the right. And then the left took that and they started talking about the dark Brandon memes, right? They had like the sunglasses and the aviators and the laser eyes, like dark Brandon. And then that fell apart on them when it turns out that there is no dark Brandon. There's just a senile old man who's occupying an office he shouldn't hold. Well,
you got so mad. It's the only reason the libs got a win there. If you just stopped getting angry about this shit, you wouldn't give them the wins. You understand that, right? Like, they were doing the dark Trump shit because it was this whole kind of, online hearkening to fascism, kind of, the red lasers thing, the Homelander shit. That got reappropriated by the libs, who then started doing the, instead of fuck Joe Biden, it's fuck Brandon, and then that fuck Brandon got turned into, instead of dark Joe Biden, dark Brandon. And then they ran with the dark Brandon memes, and then they reappropriated them from you. And because you got upset about that, that gave them power, right, in exchange. So in this case, the fact that you are all being like, we're not weird, you're weird, you're the one with the giant trans titties jiggling in front of my face all the time. Well, yeah, like you're demonstrating and you are giving these accusations, and again, the Vice President of the United States in her campaign, power over you.
If the idea here is that Kamala Harris is a perfect normie, I don't think that that's going to play other than in sort of coastal elite areas of the United States. And so I think that the backlash against this could be fairly strong. The thing that people mistake when it comes to the Trump phenomenon is in 20.
See, here's the thing, and this is glorious. Allow him and his own brand of strange, and Megyn's too, all of them, all the right-wing pundits, ultimately, they're less concerned, clearly, about achieving and maintaining and controlling and having power as they are about, like, their own shows, because it would be very, very good for all of you right now to turn down the fucking sexism and misogyny. You are destroying your chances right now with half the electorate by consistently just vilifying and going after women in the strangest, creepiest, and most perverse of ways. That would be the smart thing to do, to get in front of this and to be like, there are old clips of me surfacing right now. I no longer hold these beliefs. I do not think that women who haven't given birth should be second-class citizens who have their voting rights taken away. I'm deeply ashamed of anything like that, right? To try and do. Instead, you don't know how to do that. It's just double down, triple down. Well, he's just talking about how it's good to have tax benefits for parents. What's wrong with that? You know who's weird? You're weird because you have giant trans titties and they're jiggling and they're in front of my face and fuck you. Like, keep going. Keep going. Just stay the course. Trust the plan. Keep doing this shit. Keep on being as racist and sexist as you all know how to do, and just go with that. Run on that. Run on a campaign of sheer, unadulterated racism and sexism without anything to really offer the American people outside of, hey, we'll try to enact some of the racism and sexism for you, okay? Do you like racism? Do you like sexism? Do you like both those things? That's what we offer you. You can have it all. It's going to be fun.
2016. There's been an attempt to philosophize Trump and suggest that Trumpism is really about economic issues. It's dispossessed white people from the Rust Belt who lost their jobs at the factory, and that's why they're voting for Trump. That's actually not the story of 2016. The story of 2016 is there's a whole group of people in the United States who have families and who go to church and who have a set of values that is directly opposed to the kind of stuff that Kamala Harris is pushing.
Such
and they're
as?
being told that they are less than, that they are bad, that there's something wrong with them.
Ooh, what? I know you're trying to, basically spin JD Vance's words for him, but like what specific policies has she said that go after the American nuclear family? Like, never in modern political history is there going to be a presidential candidate who goes after the American nuclear family. It's just the bedrock. It's every single time you talk about it. It's like we're putting food on the kitchen table. Why do you think they call it the kitchen table?
In fact, they are weird for saying the kinds of stuff about childbearing and
You're
childbearing
weird.
and going to church.
I'm not weird. You're weird.
And to me, that's alienating exactly the population that Kamala Harris needs to win over. Who exactly in, say, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Georgia, Arizona is sitting around going, man, now that she's appearing on RuPaul's Drag Race, I'm going to go out and vote for her, and it's going to shift enough votes for her that it's going to make up for all the votes that she alienates with this kind of stuff.
I cannot get over the fact that we have spent days talking about JD Vance with a throwaway comment about childless cat ladies.
I said certified free.
These
7
people
days
who are
a week.
making a deal out of it.
Wet ass P word. Make that pullout game weak. Yeah, you effing with some wet ass P word. Bring a bucket and a mop for this wet ass P word.
Secret bonus episodes as well as uncensored content, go to patreon.com/The Serfs. This show is produced by Anna Loves Riley, Arian McCarthy, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Hagbard Celine, Jimmy Sombrero, Multimondi, Omni, Political Poppy, Preston Kroll, Quiet 185, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demel, Travis McClinton, Trincell, Words Greenwood, with additional support coming from all of these amazing human beings right here.